What's going on, guys? So today on this SHOKY Quickie, we're looking at something I've had for quite some time now, but just now finally got around to reviewing because all the Ninja Turtles stuff was in the way. I didn't get around to the other new line from NECA, and that is the Gargoyles line. And of course, they started out with the big man himself, with Goliath. And you got his ultimate action figure version. Yeah. So the box here, you do have some really nice drawing there. He's out on a gothic type gargoyle statue thing. Then you got some New York stuff happening over here. Just random looking cool buildings is pretty much what we got. Beautiful image here of him lit up. And of course, this is the teaser because you don't actually get wings like this with this Goliath, as many of you will know now. Go ahead, open it up, and you got the little Velcro tabby tabs. And you got a nice image of him there floating because they erased the stand from the picture. I don't know. Actually, that's entirely possible. And then you got where he normally would be and all of his accessories and stuff like that. And another kind of New Yorkish background in there. Come around on this side, you got a different image of him. It says Gargoyles by NECA. And you got there more image here. Frozen in stone by day, flesh and blood winged warriors by night, awakening after 1,000 years, band of powerful gargoyles find themselves transported to a time and place not of their own, New York City. Here, the misunderstood creature battle modern-day barbarians and struggle to understand their strange new world. Gargoyles, the legends begin. So this ought to be pretty cool. And you got different images of Goliath there. Pretty good. It includes book, pepper, interchangeable head and hands. And come over here, another cool image. Go to the bottom, nobody cares. Go to the top, says Goliath, and we're done with the box. Okay, guys. So, here's Goliath. I was going to do a turntable thing, but I don't think he'll stay on it while it's spinning, given his kind of broad range of feet and tail and the wings keeping him off balance. So I did do an out the box for this guy many months ago when I first got it. I say many, it was only probably a couple. And if you guys recall, the first time I got Goliath, I ordered directly from NECA, and he came without his butt. So there's no good way to plug his tail in. So I wrote them back and said, hey, I need this fixed. And they did. They actually did. It was pretty cool. Pretty quick. You know, it is what it is. So I'm trying to get his feet kind of the same so he'll stand evenly. And that is a current problem with him. So you can see here, he's a big boy, especially with this wingspan. So if you guys know, there's a glass pad here that everything goes on. The wings are almost the exact width of that thing there. And right off the bat, you know, the paint job on him is actually pretty good. Like, he's molded in this light purple and then airbrushed on a slightly darker purple for the ripples of the muscles, shading around his eyes, and that's a really cool head sculpt. Now, it's a more realistic take on the cartoon character, which I find interesting that they would do this instead of just making it look straight up out of the cartoon, like, you know, they do with the TMNT cartoon line. But, you know, you got this, like, double horns there, his big pointy ears, kind of purple lips, which is a little interesting, but I guess it makes sense, and just that deep, veiny neck. And I've watched Anthony's Customs review of this guy, and since Anthony actually does make his own figures and stuff like that, he was pretty critical about some of the anatomy that doesn't make sense on him, like the way this area is and stuff like that, the way his deltoids and stuff like that work. Just a little bit weird, but also talking about a creature that's winged. You know, and come back here. It's just ridiculous. Got a little bit of paint issue there. So, I mean, the hair was put on him when it was still slightly wet. Got his big old tail. That's going to be a little bit basic for the moment. Might take the wings off just to get it through. So let's, because we can't see a lot with the wings on. Plus, he's very, very unwieldy. Now, the wings plug on pretty easily, and they do come off pretty easily. And the paint comes off also just as easily. So the peg is unpainted, but then the rest of it is painted as darker purple than his actual body. And nobody seems to understand why. Like, why that wouldn't be the same color. Like, you can see here, that's more the color of the shading. And actually, even here, it's darker, so it's very interesting. But it is like a bat wing, you know, like the fingers going out. And, you know, they added this kind of crazy leather texture with the sheen to it. You can see that. That's not just the light reflecting. That is, in fact, how it's painted. He does actually have some cool stuff going on there. Same thing on the inside, though. Would have been interesting for the inside to look that way and the outside to be matte. Like, actually, the wing looks a little different one way than the other. Just pretty incredible sculpt work. And then you do have some pretty heavy-duty ratchets here, and it's actually very scary to finagle those. Other wing, Same difference, but a little bit better painted. And you can see molded veins. Look at that, just big old veiny wing. I know what I said. Okay, so for the figure himself, could adjust my lights a little. There we go. The hair painted in a similar way to the wings, actually. Black with some interesting kind of reflectiveness added to it there. Got some chipping. It is soft, so it can move around a little bit. But due to the way his neck is, which is frozen in place, essentially, come up a little bit, his hair is almost always in the way. So he does have, I believe, a double ball peg neck. Let me pull the head off. Yeah, so big ball joint, little ball joint. You can see here just a bunch of marks. His neck can only move so far. Can't even go back that far. So if anything, he'd need some clearance in the backside. So his head can really only come forward, which also, given if he's ever out flying / gliding, you know, he'd want to be able to put his head up, and he absolutely cannot. That's as far back as his head can go, especially with the wings on. So that's literally as far back as you can go. As it sets, you can turn a little bit. It's fine. Once again, very nicely done. Muscles, he does have what I believe probably a single ball joint, because it can't go too far for that torso bit. Big old chunky arms that do go up inside a little. I like that. It will, I think it should rotate. Yeah, it rotates, but due to the sculpt, it's pretty limited, at least in one direction. Seems to go back pretty good. Can't go forward that much without really doing something, but he can move around. Bicep rotation that, due to the design, is a little tight. Got them gigantic muscles. He's like very jacked, where original Goliath in the actual show, while being muscular, was more of like a weightlifter, not a bodybuilder, you know, where he's bulky, not, you know, ripped. He does got the pointy elbows like they do. And speaking of that, he got double jointed elbows. They're clearanced fine. It doesn't seem like there's any paint issues, because for the most part, he's molded in the color that he is, essentially. Now, he does come with a variety of hands. This is actually his book holding hand. It's just the way I had him displayed. You got purple painted nails. It's fine. And then over on this side, you have my actual problem with his. And, yeah, that's not supposed to be that way. So from the minute I reviewed this guy initially for, you know, out the box, that hand has been wonky. So wherever that is supposed to stop, like the thing that's supposed to hold it in place, doesn't. Or it's supposed to have like another rib or something like that. And it doesn't seem to matter. So he comes with, I believe, these original open claw hands like this. And I don't know if there's a difference in the, no, the little wrist penises are exactly the same. But the second I pulled it off, like when it was brand new in the box, no problem. As soon as I pulled it off, loosey-goosey. Now, it's not going to fall out, but it has zero friction. So I think all of these need to be built up a little bit with some super glue or something like that. Or maybe just build out the hole a little bit with some super glue. He does also come with a couple of fisties, so you can do that if you want to. He also comes with a couple of small golden trumpets. In fact, that's not for this guy. That's just stuff that I have sitting over here. Sorry, it's like I was got to the hands, so I might as well talk about the accessories with the hands. And then, let's see, he does have waist rotation, bringing us down to his waist and the gigantic belt, which is painted well. The belt itself is all single molded into the loincloth, painted black all the way around. The loincloth itself is painted and shaded and weathered superbly. Like, it's just awesome. And so originally, like I said, my first one did not have a butt. So this little section here where the tail actually plugs in did not exist. It was completely left out. So I had nowhere to plug in the tail. And I will tell you, my original Goliath figure was significantly better. Like, it was dead on. All the clearances were perfect. This wasn't a problem. The paint was perfect in every aspect. So oddly enough, the one that I got replaced is slightly lesser. Now, the tail is decent. It does have a wire, so you can pose it a bit. You can usually tell a posable tail because it has vent holes, which is always funny. It does have a rotation joint there. Look at that. Even the skirt has rubbed off, and it does have a joint so he can come up and he can be like happy boy, you know. you know, when he sees Elisa. And then, you know, a little bit of rubbage there on his crotch. But this is just fantastic. They're really good on clothes. Let's just be honest here. Okay, so for the legs, you can do good old Jean-Claude. You can do it, not quite a decent chorus line forward. Back is easier, a little bit less in the way. Once again, here's some smudgery. It shouldn't be there. And by the way, I've never seen the Gargoyles in person, like in a store, like Walmart or Target. I've only ever seen them available online. Which, by the way, if you're interested, you can pick them up from places like PBTS and stuff like that. See, look at this. This hand is so loose, it's doing nothing. I got super glue, but one of them in place. Okay, so he does have thigh rotation, as we're talking about the legs. It's all up there at the hip. Just be careful. But at least there's no buildup of paint in any of the joints. He does have the hidden knee joint, which is always good, considering he has no pants. So they have a good job there. He's got the pointy knee, much like they have pointy elbows. That's got to be annoying. That's why they don't wear pants or sleeves, you know, because they can't get them on or off. And just the really ridiculous sculpting on the legs. It might be a little much, if I'm honest with you. Calves look crazy. Same thing here. You got a little bit of paint rubbage, like here from the overspray. So that's fine. Let's talk about the feet. So he does have digigraded legs, technically speaking. So his feet are really meant to walk around like this. They always walked around in literal terms like chickens. You know, like chicken-legged. They did on the show. And technically speaking, you can do this. But always use the tail for balance. Because that is your best prop that you're going to get. And you can see here, like, I'm trying to balance him. The other thing is, like, he doesn't balance on his toes. He has flat pads down here, so the toes don't necessarily touch the ground. He's a little twisted up, if I'm honest. Okay, so you can see, not quite the same. This foot joint is a little looser in comparison, but you can also kick the knees back just a hair, so he's walking more on it. And if you use the proper articulation, you know, that's a little wonky. So that's why I also tend to just have him a little bit flatter. You know, get the tail out behind him. Get the toes down. I have him walk on his heels, even though he's not supposed to. I just find it to be significantly more stable. Especially if you're going to have the wings on him, which really offsets the weight. Now, the wings plug in very easily, and they are meant to kind of snug up, even though they do have articulation. But because they are so big, there's no real way to kind of hide them. Like, so this is their natural kind of position, all the way forward. See, once again, like, that wrist is just doing whatever it wants. And like I said, you can check it back just a notch. So it's super tight. It's scary. Like I said, those aren't plugged in ridiculously well. But due to the fact that the wings are there, you really lose most of his head movement. And you can see he's wanting to fall over. So I need to adjust the tail to get a little bit more ground contact earlier to hold him up. He's also on this slick glass, which really does make it hard to balance. So let's kick that heel back a little bit, see if it works for him. See, that ankle is weak in comparison. So maybe lean him forward. So the wings put a lot of weight on his back. So if you've got him on a decent hard surface with a little friction to him, he'll stand up fine. Okay, so let's talk about other accessories here. They do have the book. I thought it was going to be the Grimorum at first, like their magic book. It's not. It's just a book. And it's molded nicely. You know, nice little leather-bound thing. No real cover. It's clawed up, which is good. Molded pages and stuff like that. You know, fake writing all up in there. And it looks good. And this is meant to go with this hand, so you can hold it like so. And then if you utilize the wrist joint, you can't actually turn it towards his face, which is stupid. It's like, so this one thing they didn't quite calculate in there is that a wrist joint needed to be able to turn the other way to hold the book properly. So that's just a little weird. So he can hold the book, he just can't quite point it at his own face to read said book. I should kind of do that number. And you also get... Dang it. Some you got to extend the tail, get that springy nature out of it. You do get the little jalapeno, which is funny. I like that. And you like he could probably hold that in that hand, and it would just be like sort of barely gripping it, or you set it in one of the open hands, like so, and it just falls away. You're gonna lose the jalapeno. Let's just be honest here. And then you also get the raging head, the berserker mode head, which is fine. Looks pretty cool. Looks a little weird, but it is what it is. It's a little bit different sculpt. It's pretty cool. I like the teeth hanging out there. Tongue painted, all that. Does look good. But, I like the regular stoic face a little bit more. This says this is number 1, that's number 2, head-wise. So, as it goes, he's a pretty awesome figure. But not without problems. And I'm telling you, the first one I got, it had a butt on it, would have been perfect. This one, a little bit less perfect. And the fact that we have to wait till the next, or the second or next release, I don't know exactly. So Bronx, their dog of a gargoyle, is coming with the folded wings for Goliath. And hopefully in the future they'll release all of them with their folded wings as an option. Because a lot of people aren't going to want this ridiculous look all the time, Okay, so we need comparisons. And there he is next to Wally. You can see he's really beefy. And he does cost a little bit more than the normal NECA line. There it is next to Super Mini Pla Gal King. Here he is next to a Foot Clan member. So, he's even kind of in line with the Ninja Turtles line, because Goliath he's around about human size, but a little bit bigger. And next to something a bit more muscular, with a Toka, It's actually beefier, oddly enough, but this guy works better. He's a bit more stable of a creature. So, as it goes, I'm excited for the Goliath line. For the Gargoyles line, they've shown us Hudson, they've shown us Bronx, they've shown us Demona, and of course the Thalog, the anti-Goliath. So that ought to be pretty interesting. I wonder if they'll give us a Cold Stone down the line. Give us that, half robotic version of his quote-unquote brother. But the other ones they've shown so far all look fantastic. Even Bronx looks fantastic, and they can only do so much with him because he's essentially a terror dog from Ghostbusters. So they're going to have to make that really work. Having folded wings or different wings will definitely make it better, except ultimately you're going to end up with giant wings like this somewhere. So, I kind of want one with soft draped wings in normal mode, and I want the wings up and crazy looking for statue mode. And they will give us statue versions eventually. It's a simple repaint. Maybe a new head sculpt and stuff like that. But I'm thinking of turning the top section of my display on top of my billies and stuff like that into a rooftop deal where I can have them all posed up and stuff like that off the edge of the thing, like they're sitting out there waiting for the dawn, to turn to stone. And I'm certain they'll give us Elisa and Xanatos and stuff like that. So, alright guys, but that's going to be it for this quickie, even though it wasn't that big of a quickie. And yeah, if you want Goliath, go find him out there. He's somewhere. If he's available in stores, I've yet to see it personally, but I know that you can get him online and a lot of online retailers and stuff like that. You can purchase directly from NECA, generally speaking, when they're brand new. And I can't wait for Demona, because that'll be pretty awesome. And I'll see you guys next time. Remember, as always, keep on nerding.